Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Braun tapped in on Twitter and asked where all the main, bomb droppers for the NBA are at. Where are they? Where are the guys who tell us what's happening? And just like I said this morning, I genuinely believe that the market is at a standstill waiting for the big move that probably isn't coming. And that's why I suggested all of these teams just go ahead and make your move independent of what it is you think could happen, and just if the big move happens, I'm wrong. I'm very easily spoken. I'm wrong, but I don't think a lot of y'all should be looking to do more than what would be otherwise possible if that move isn't made, or vice versa. You definitely should be looking to do what you can if the move doesn't get made, because at the end of the day, I don't think the move is going to happen. I think the King is staying put. I think guys like Donovan Mitchell are staying put. It just seems like there's much more of a benefit to move at the end of the season for a lot of teams who would otherwise have a lot to do, a lot to share in regards to trades. A team like Utah is not pressed to make any move with marketing, not pressed to make any move with their picks, not pressed to make a move with Sexton necessarily. The teams that I think are more likely to be willing to make a move are teams that have contracts that are expiring for players that they don't believe they either want to resign or will be able to resign, or somewhere in between. The name that comes to mind for me, and I've said this already in a previous video, is a guy like Tobias Harris. With Joel going down, and I know Tobias is a big part of what they do, but he's making $35 million. It just seems to me that there would be a good return for a team that's looking to create salary opportunities for themselves. You know, a team that comes to mind, man, even though I know they don't have picks, but if I could find a way to get a package that would be good for Tobias Harris, if I'm Minnesota, I'd do that. Now, I know they don't have the salary, they don't have the picks, so it's kind of hard to see them being able to take a whole chunk of role players and maybe somebody like Miller, of whom I wouldn't suggest they move at all, a young player they just drafted. But like, for me, I would want salary relief if I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves, because they are so cap struck and they are a contender, and they could use a rental of a guy like Tobias Harris to boost them up even further into contention. They are contenders right now, but you acquire Tobias Harris in place of whatever pieces you need to move that aren't your main pieces, and you got a great chance of coming out of the Western Conference, in my humble opinion, and an even better chance of finding flexibility at the end of the year when he opts out, or rather when he walks. And they do likely have some type of contract combinations that they can scrounge together to make some type of play for a guy like Tobias Harris. If I were in Minnesota, if I'm A-Rod and those guys, I would give my left arm for an opportunity at a guy like Tobias Harris expiring at 35. Because at the end of the year, he comes off them books, as I already said, and you can get so much good going on with the cap space available. Maybe you take on a pick or two to take on a bad contract that gives you the flexibility that you don't have if you're Minnesota. And that's what I want bad for them if I'm them. So that's the type of thing, like, do they have a competitive package for Tobias Harris? I doubt it. Unless they can get a third team in. I doubt it. I just don't know how they would pull that off. I haven't checked the trade tracker, but I'm telling you, if I'm Minnesota, I'm definitely trying to do something like that. I want a contract like that. I want Miles Bridges if I'm Minnesota. That is something that can move the needle for them. And I'm not saying that I think they are devoid of being a team that can make some noise in the playoffs, but if they upgrade, they most definitely become a team who can make some noise in the playoffs. And if they can kill two birds with one stone in creating some type of flexibility of any kind, that's a massive success for them. I know that it's a sensitive thing, because if you move the wrong piece in a situation like that, you could be in some real trouble. But with Anthony Edwards, Karl Towns, Rudy Gobert, and McDaniels in place, I want those four, and then I want one more, and let that one more come off the books, create the flexibility to add to those four at the end of the season. Because I'm definitely definitely not going to play Tobias Harris another $35 million. But I will take him on as a rental to free up that type of cap space. Now, the problem is, if I'm Philadelphia, I probably want McDaniels. And I'm not going to do that for McDaniels. I'm keeping McDaniels. You're obviously not going to give up either of those other three in that situation, because the whole point is to make yourself better, not do anything lateral. The priority is not flexibility. The priority is to win. But if you can get flexibility in the process of winning, that's the move to make. So I think Minnesota should be looking to do something like that. Most definitely do something like that. If I'm the Bucks, I need, whether I want to admit it or not, I need a defensive player on that in that guard position, probably more than the Lakers do. You know how the Lakers, we're talking about, we need Bruce Brown. We need, to do something in regards to making sure we have some defense. They need it even more than we do. So if they don't walk away with a Bruce Brown or some type of piece that can play some damn defense, even if it's a Dennis Schroeder, Milwaukee needs to do something, and they need to do it now, or they're not going to be good enough to win anything. I'm just being honest with y'all. I told y'all they're a fake contender. They're not a real contender. They're just not, man. And I think they're starting to prove that. Dame can't defend at all. He never could. He's just an incredible shot maker, and it seems like, he's in a rough stretch right now. I'm sure he'll bounce back, but his defense ain't gonna bounce back. And if you're relying upon Malik Beasley to play any defense, you're going home. You're going home. So I cannot stress this enough. Milwaukee had better make a move, or their hopes of winning a championship, in my opinion, do not exist. They might as well not even have them. So those are two teams that I think should make moves, man. Minnesota and Milwaukee. If you really want to be serious about winning something, now's the time to try to improve as much as you can. Do not stand pat. Not those two teams. No. Minnesota, not as much. They're not as pressed as much to me because, again, it may not necessarily be possible. But if I'm Milwaukee, you can get better, man. You have a little something to get better. And so that's something I think they should do. A team like Sacramento, I don't know. I don't think they're in a good position to necessarily trade too much and feel great about where they're going. But if they could get a Miles Bridges or Bruce Brown, I think they would feel great about that. I think Sacramento would be a great place for one of those two pieces to land. So those are the type of guys I think should be on the move. Miles Bridges definitely wants out of Charlotte. Last night he showed my Lakers why somebody should go get him. Tobias Harris, because he's expiring at 35, and I don't think him as a rental to the Philadelphia 76ers would be Embiid being out for the rest of the season is the best use of that money. You can do something to make yourself better, unless you just have to have Tobias Harris as a part of your core next season with Embiid and Maxey. And I don't believe that you saying you have to have him is worth overpaying him any further. And that's exactly what it's going to take to keep him, in my opinion. You're going to have to pay him another 35. Ain't no way in hell I'm doing that if I'm Philly. I can do better. I can go get Miles Bridges expiring and maybe cost a little less. He might be a little better. So it's a little lateral, and it might be the same type of deal. But the point is even if I've made up my decision and I'm keeping Tobias Harris, there's no guarantee that he's going to choose to stay in Philly. So, we're not doing that. I would rather trade him for Bruce Brown and bring a solidified piece to me that I know is going to be on tab next season. Or something like that. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense or not. Caruso is who I said. DeMar DeRozan also makes sense for Philadelphia for me in exchange for Tobias Harris. DeMar DeRozan for another team, I don't know. I was going to say Minnesota, probably not going to be able to afford him. So these are the type of things I'm thinking about. Some of the more strong contenders, I think the contenders that really want to do something, have never done anything, particularly Minnesota, should probably be looking to tweak something to get a little better. I don't think they're good enough to win a championship, but I don't think they're too far away from it if they make a move to get a guy without losing one of those four. If I got to come off of Mike Conley, that should not be a problem. I like Mike Conley, but I don't love Mike Conley. That ain't going to be a problem if I have to move him if I'm Minnesota. As long as I don't have to give up one of those four. So these type of things I think should be done, man. Toronto should probably look to become less win now. Maybe move Dennis Schroeder, move Chris Boucher, but I don't think the pressing nature of that is real. I don't think you have to do that. Moving Bruce Brown makes sense if you're meant to Toronto Raptors, but just the same, if it doesn't happen, it's not like you're going to throw something around the room. It's not It's not overly pressing. I don't think. It's probably more pressing for teams who need to get better to get those guys off of you rather than for you to move them. Same goes with Utah and certain players like Colin Sexton and Chris Dunn. I heard the Lakers are interested in Chris Dunn. I'm interested. I like him as a vet who can come in and play some defense on the wing. As we said, I think his offensive game has gotten a lot better from what it was when we thought when he was first drafted. So he's a solid vet role player. But I wonder if the Lakers are more interested in the buyout market than they are about in this trade deadline. Because if nothing happens, there's still a lot of we can do in the buyout, especially if guys are going to be coming at a discount. Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul, possibly if they buy him out. Gordon Hayward is possible. I heard the other McDaniels in Minnesota. I mean, in the Toronto Raptors is also somebody that may be bought out for whatever reason. He's a young enough player, though. I'd probably hold on to him if I'm Toronto. If you're trying to rebuild, he's not exactly somebody you want to get rid of. I know he wasn't used very much in Philadelphia, but he showed me enough pop in Charlotte to know that there's some game there. I don't know why Toronto hasn't found any use for him, but I never really know why teams don't use players that I think are pretty good. So, it is what it is. I'd love to see some people move from Charlotte. Like I said, Miles Bridges would be great. Gordon Hayward would be great. Go get some guys out of there because they are in a space where they need to pivot, and I don't know that they're ready to do so. But I do know that some of those guys who are there probably need to get the hell out of there to create flexibility so that they can build something that allows them to pivot toward winning now. And maybe if you're Charlotte, you move on some stuff to get better. Nobody sees that coming, and it's probably a year too soon to be thinking about winning now. But maybe you bring in you keep Miles Bridges in that situation, but maybe you bring in somebody that can help you get better. Not necessarily somebody who needs to win now, but you can trade a pick for another young dude. That's something I think Charlotte would be wise to consider because I don't think going toward the draft any further is what they must do. Now you got Brandon Miller playing like he's going to be one of the next guys in this league. You got LaMelo Ball. That's a foundational group. That's a nice duo right there. If you want to make Miles Bridges what it is, great. Now that's three of them. You can kind of say, all right, we're doing something here. Maybe you start shaving off some of that other stuff. Definitely getting rid of some of them dudes that you shouldn't be playing. And improve somehow. Maybe bring yourself that solidified piece that you don't have at one of those positions that could be upgraded. Maybe the shooting guard position. I don't know. But I think Brandon Miller's a 3. I think Bridges is likely a 3 or a 4. Of course, Melo is a 1. So maybe a 2. You like Williams, you like PJ, maybe you upgrade from those two. I don't know, but I just look at Charlotte as a curious position because now, for the first time in many years, they got something they can really be excited about, and I just don't know if they know exactly what to do with that. And you don't want to see them go down the Piston route. Also, I'd like to see San Antonio do something. I'd like to see San Antonio react how poor they've been and how important Wemby is. Because some of the issues that they've had, getting him the ball, I just think they're a little too bad to be paying so much to guys like Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. You can move a Keldon Johnson to Philadelphia, get yourself a Tobias Harris, expiring at 35, and then have that $35 million to give to a star next summer. Because somebody's going to want to play with Wemby, and you want to be able to do that, have him come in. So that's, I don't know. They like Sohan. I like Sohan, but I also understand that Sohan might be somebody who probably be best not playing with Wemby for a million reasons. A guy like Tyus Jones' brother, I can't think of his name, Trey Jones, he's pretty good, but is he that guy? And can you not couple them together to get that guy? That's my question. So I just think San Antonio needs to pivot sort of like the Charlotte Hornets do. Once I realize I got a future dude, like a real one, before he's going to make that $260 million that is ultimately going to eat away at my cap, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that they could be winning with a rookie contract. That's how I think. Like, okay, I got Brandon Miller. I ain't got to pay him for another 2 years. Let's try to win something before that. Let's try to make this place exciting for him to be so that we have no chance of losing him. That's how you got to think when you get a guy like that in the draft. Because once you wait until it's $260 million in, of course he's going to sign that contract, but building something that can help you win becomes a problem. Now you have to try to see what you can do from within that space. I ain't waiting for that. I got a win now piece. This dude can score 35 right now. Let me get the stuff that can help him win in his second year, his rookie season. Then he's so excited about being a part of this thing. We've already won to when it's time for him to sign that contract. It ain't a problem. Some of the pieces are already in place. They love being here. So maybe they taking, pay cuts to stay into a winning situation. I don't know why teams don't think like that when they have so much draft equity to trade for win now pieces. And a young guy making $1 million that's basically an all-star. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, that's a win now situation. He may not be ready to win a championship, but if you make him feel good about being in that uniform, he may be probably less likely to want to leave. He'll probably be more likely to want to stick around for whatever issues and ups and downs you have. You got to catch them young, man. You got to catch their hearts in regards to wanting to be a part of your organization. And I don't know why teams don't think like that. We got Wemby. Okay, let's tank for another 3 years. Wemby's going to be losing for 3 years. He can't go want to be there. He can't wait to get the hell out of San Antonio because of that. You bring him pieces that can help him win right now, and he's going to appreciate that way more than you sitting around trying to play the draft to bring him another guy. Unless that guy turns out to be great, which sometimes it do. Sometimes you end up with a Bargnani and an Anthony Bennett. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it ain't the better play to keep tanking after you know damn well you got your cornerstone. And if I'm Charlotte, I got my cornerstone. I got him. Brandon Miller's my cornerstone. I love you, Melo, but this is the number one here. He's the number one. And I know it's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me. I don't care. It just is what it is. Brandon Miller's number one in Charlotte. And with that comes Wemby being the number one in San Antonio, obviously. Also, Detroit. I think they're in a space where they can always do something. Of course, they were going after Zach LaVine. I thought that was utterly stupid. I don't have a whole lot of faith in them making good decisions from here, but I know they got some pieces that people would want. You know, the type of pieces I would want if I'm Charlotte to try to bring to have next to Brandon Miller, maybe there in Detroit, maybe, you know, some variation of what they have to get better but stay young. Or San Antonio, if you want a player that can help you get better, maybe you bring yourself a Jaden Ivey. That's more like what I'm thinking. I don't know, but Detroit's in a space where they're not quite there. I like Cade Cunningham, but I'm not as high on Cade long term because of his injury concerns. I'm not as high on him as I am Brandon Miller because of the injuries. Or Wemby. Wemby's Wemby, but y'all get the point. Cade is like one of them dudes who is that, but also I expect for him to miss like 40 games a season. I don't trust him. But, I think Detroit's happy with him. I think they're probably going to make him that cornerstone anyway, especially what we've seen with the circumstances. He's been able to play well throughout those circumstances. So maybe they want to hold on to him and make sure that they keep him above all costs. At the same time, it's like I don't feel as good, and because of it, I'm probably moving on. I don't think I need to get better. I probably just need to rearrange what I have. Detroit's a tough situation because I really don't know what to do with Detroit. Because if they continue to play the draft, I don't know that they're not going to come out lateral because they already got a bunch of lottery picks in there. It's just not coming together to make any sense. It ain't coming together to do anything. So, when you forego spacing with your highest draft picks, you don't care if they can shoot or not. This becomes a problem, and that's what they've done. Osur Thompson, Duren, they can't shoot. Ivy not a shooter. So you drafted them with such high and incredibly valuable picks, and now it's what you have. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe they move. I think maybe you bring yourself a Devin Vassell if San Antonio will come up off of them for an Ivy or something like that and make yourself more reasonable in regards to shooting. I know that's what they were thinking with Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine is making $40 million a year. Why the hell do you want that? Just to fix your shooting issue. That's just stupid. You can do a better job finding something more affordable to help your shooting situation. D'Lo, for example, would be somebody I'd be considering. Of course, he'd want me to overpay for him at the end of the season to stay in Detroit. and your defense probably ain't gonna be no good. But at least you got the spacing, and you definitely got Duran and Asur who gonna help your defense as they grow together. Miles Bridges was somebody they were interested in back in the day, before before the issues off the court happened. I don't know why they wouldn't be interested in him now, especially since they struck out on Zach LaVine. So I can see them possibly making a play to get him, since he was pretty much ready to commit to some type of contract with the Detroit Pistons right before that circumstance went bad. So I don't know if his mind's changed on Detroit, but I don't see why it would if they're willing to pay him. And he's still young enough, only 25 years old, to put next to Cade, put next to those guys, create the spacing they don't have, keep up with the defense they need to improve, and still not be a number one over Cade. So I think Miles Bridges still makes sense for Detroit if they really want to pivot. Miles Bridges makes sense everywhere, man. I want my Lakers to get him personally. So, that's one of those type of situations where I know people are hesitant to bring him in for the off-the-court reasons, but on the court, he fits in all circumstances. All. You can't find a team that can't use him. So, yeah, that's why I would want to bring him in. Clippers, I'd imagine they stand pat, but I know they would love to have somebody play the center position for them because Zubac's going to be out for a little while. Same thing with the New York Knicks, although I don't know if they need a center. They got some pretty good bigs there without Juju and Robinson, who are expected to come back for the end of the season, so I'm not really looking at them. Cleveland Cavaliers are playing some of the best ball in basketball right now, but I don't know that they're a real contender. Maybe they should make a move like I'm saying Minnesota should make to get a little better, but I think just like Minnesota, they're probably cash-strapped, but their bench is not good, and I know that. They're winning games right now, but their bench is not good. So if I'm them, I'd try to get a little more talented. But then again, you may want to watch them for the buyout market. I know people aren't clamoring to go to Cleveland, but if you are a role player who wants to be a part of contender and you know you need to fit in on a bench situation, that's probably one of the rosters you would like to join. They need you. So they should probably be buyout market candidates in Cleveland. You know what I mean? These are the type of things I'm thinking about, man. So some of these teams can make moves. Others aren't in the greatest position to try to do so. And that's just what the natural thought is there. It is what it is, man. I don't think we're going to see too big. I don't think there's going to be that active of a trade deadline. The way it's setting up right now, the way it feels right now, maybe we see some moves. But you would think you would hear something rumble. You're not hearing nothing right now. And I just honestly think that the LeBron James thing, with him possibly being on the move, I think that may have made some people hesitant to really pull the trigger on stuff. Like, what if I wait? What happens if I wait? Maybe I get a better deal after that move is made, and you just end up seeing the market locked up. So that's what I'm thinking about, man. That's exactly what's on my mind. We got, what's today, the 6th, I believe it is. Deadline is the 8th, so we still got a lot of time. But I'm not hearing nothing right now. It's real quiet. Maybe it's quiet before the storm. Maybe it's quiet because there's nothing to talk about. And I'm thinking it might be the latter. So for those who are excited about a big trade day, I'm not getting the vibes that anything going to happen, man. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not saying I don't think anything's going to happen. I'm just telling you that usually I get the feeling something's about to happen. Maybe you start hearing rumblings of something serious. I don't think so, man. I think some of the teams that want to make moves are bluffing. Teams like Atlanta bluffing, man. They don't really have to move DeJounte Murray. They got him on contract for another 4 years. So they don't hold out for what it is they want. Or, as Laker Nation has been mentioning in regards to them, do the same thing they did with Collins and just keep him on the trade block for 4 and 5 years. It's Atlanta, man. You can't count. I want to be careful because this may not age well, but you can't count on Atlanta. I'm just going to be honest. You can't count on them. They don't typically make great decisions. And when they do draft well, they tend to let those players not develop very well on their bench. So it's like, I'm not, after all that time they had Collins on the trade block and they finally end up moving him for what they did. They got Okongwu behind Capella making $22 million. That don't make no sense. You got Kobe Buffkin, probably the best player in all of the G League, not getting no minutes in the big leagues. And they drafted him with a high lottery pick when they could have took Cam Whitmore and stuff like that. It's just a lot of stuff you just sit there like, it's Atlanta, man. If you're waiting on Atlanta to make a good decision, you're going to be waiting. So that's really what it is. But I do like Jalen Johnson. Trae Young is finally an All-Star. Congratulations to him. They announced him and Scotty Barnes are going to be replacing Juju and Joel in the All-Star game. I think that's the right way to go. If anybody gets hurt in the Western Conference, my pick to be an All-Star in the West is Domantas Sabonis. And I know there are other guys who deserve it as well. De'Aaron Fox, his running mate, most definitely deserves to be there, although De'Aaron Fox did kind of wean off a little bit. Domantas is not. He damn near averages a triple-double. All of the fantasy teams I have Domantas on are in first place. That should tell you what you need to know. So Domantas not being an All-Star is it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. I think they got that wrong. But they want to reward the teams with the good records in a lot of situations, but they're not really consistent with that, so it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's just. I want everybody to stay healthy, but if someone gets hurt in the Western Conference, they got business that they should be handling. And I'm with whoever said that. I don't remember who it was, but they mentioned, I think it was JJ Redick said they need to expand the All-Star team. My mom said that before she passed away back in 2016, fam. She said that back in like 2013. They need to expand the All-Star game because there's more good players coming in that could play at an All-Star level. We're getting snubbed unnecessarily because it's not enough roster spots. That's not a new thought. My mom said that over 10 years ago. And I agree with her, and I agree with JJ who said it now. So, yeah, man, these are things that we're considering. Definitely get that right. 2 nights, we already mentioned they're going to expand the draft for 2 nights. I hate it. I hate it a lot. I absolutely hate it. I know that they think it'll be a good idea for teams to regroup and strategize with a night's sleep on the first round. It can help you make deals. It probably increases the chances of people getting traded with second-round picks still holding high value while first-round picks have now been drafted. I think that can create a dynamic, but I also think it could be really trash to watch the second round by itself, dude. I can't see myself, unless I'm a diehard fan like I actually am, tuning in to watch the second round of a basketball year by itself. I just don't think the rating's going to be any good. I don't think it's going to be much fun. A lot of these picks that end up going in the second round, sometimes you see them get foregoed entirely as to where somebody get their second round pick taken from them because of something wrong. You saw like 3 or 4 of those last year. Bunch of European names you never heard of that ain't going to come over for another 6 years. I mean, that type of stuff. Like, why am I going to watch a whole hour of that, bro? I'm not watching that. So, yeah, that's what I think most people are going to say. But I don't know if they care about that. So, yeah, man. I like the LED floor that they're using for the All-Star game. All-Star Saturday night. That looks really cool. I think they should adapt to that more around the league. And Lakers are wearing their Mamba uniforms on the 8th. Of course, they're going to be retiring Kobe's jersey on 2/8/24. But they're not going to open it up to the public, which I think is irritating. It's like, why the hell wouldn't you open that to the public? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, that's what it's going to be. We're definitely happy that they're bringing back the Mamba jerseys. Hopefully they bring them back permanently. They should have never been taken out of rotation. So, yeah, man, that's really where my head is, man. That's where my head is. I don't expect much. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.